I heard my mom, 82, say, F asterisk CK for the first time today. My sweet mom. My sweet mom, 82. All she wanted to do was watch BYU play against the University of Utah in their Holy War football game this weekend. But her Dish Network plan was not showing the game, so she called Dish to change her program plan just to watch BYU play this football game. And she said, F asterisk CK. Read between the lines. My sweet Mormon mom. It has not been a good couple of years for my family. My mom lives in Texas and I live in Salt Lake City, but I was in Texas 2 years ago on the morning my dad died. She cried, she was sad, but she did not say, this F asterisk king sucks. After 62 years of marriage, words cannot express how difficult these 2 years have been. But, independence is coming quickly. A couple of months after my dad's death, she called me, so proud, she had contacted Dish Network, changed her program plan, and sent back one of her cable boxes. And, she did this all on her own. There wasn't a need for a fourth TV in her house. Without her husband alive to watch his alma mater, BYU, play football, there wasn't a need for a sports TV in the guest room. Now, 2 years later, she wanted to watch BYU play football, not just for the game, but to remember the 62 years she has heard my father cheer on his team. She was going to remember being woken up by her husband in the middle of the night when Jim McMahon's BYU Cougars were down 45-25 with 4 minutes to play, coming back to beat SMU 46-45. Many BYU fans had left the stadium, but my dad did not leave his AM radio station that was barely bringing in the broadcast in 1974. She wanted to watch the Holy War game, not for the football of 2025, but for the memories of her marriage, the feelings my dad felt when BYU was number 1 in 1984. She wanted to watch BYU with my dad. As told by Mom. Phone call number 1 to Dish Network. Mom, can you change my program plan to include this weekend's BYU football game? Dish, no problem. That will just be an extra $5 per month. Phone call number 2 to Dish Network. Mom, I just had my program plan changed, but I don't have the station that will show BYU and a lot of my other channels are missing. For instance, where's Fox News? My thoughts. My mom and I have different political beliefs. She has never called me a F asterisk king liberal and I've never called her a F asterisk king fascist. We're family. Politics doesn't come before family. Dish. You never had Fox News that would cost you an extra $10 a month. Mom, trust me. I had Fox News. My thoughts. Trust me. She had Fox News. I know all about Hunter Biden's laptop. Phone call number 3 to Dish Network. Mom, I now have Fox News, but I still don't have the channel to watch the BYU football game. Dish, oh, that's on a different plan. That will cost an extra $15. Mom, fine. Phone call number 4 to Dish Network. Mom, I now have Fox News, but the BYU football game is only playing on the laundry room TV. How do I watch it in the living room? Dish Network. Well, since you have 4 cable boxes, we can only put the $15 plan on 2 of your cable boxes. Mom, I only have 3 cable boxes. I sent in the 4th cable box after my husband died. Dish Network. We don't have a record of you sending us that box, so we have been charging you $5 a month for the 4th box. Mom, not as a Karen, but in total frustration. Let me talk to a manager. Dish Network manager. We never received the box. If you want to watch BYU on all 4 boxes. Mom, I only have 3. Dish Network manager. We've been charging you for 4, so you have 4. As I was saying, that will be another $15 per month. Mom, cancel my service. Dish Network manager. I'm sorry, but you're on a contract. If you cancel your service, there will be a $100 disconnect fee. Plus we'll charge you $20 for each cable box to send back to us, so that will be $80 for your 4 boxes. Mom, I have 3 boxes. F asterisk CKU. I don't care if this costs me 500 F asterisk king dollars. Cancel my F asterisk king service. My thoughts. I was so F asterisk king proud. Well, that's the story of how Dish lost a customer. And one fan didn't watch the BYU football game in Texas, but we know another fan watched BYU win from above. And that's F asterisk king sad. Dish Network. Our customer service will make your mom or grandma say, F asterisk CK. I went looking for my dad's death certificate. What I found instead was nothing. So, sit around the campfire storytime mystery. I haven't talked to my dad since I was 16. It's been 10+ years since I talked to him. It wasn't that I was holding a grudge or anything. I just didn't have a reason to reach out. He wasn't a good person to be around. He was a drug addict, abusive, and made life pretty miserable back then. When he left, that was basically it. I never saw him again. My cousin, on the other hand, was always treated like gold by him. She didn't have a good relationship with her own parents, and I'll admit, I was a little jealous as a kid because of how differently he treated her. She always wanted us to reconnect, but I had no interest. Anyway, this past summer she came up to visit and told me he had died. Honestly, I wasn't surprised. He smoked, drank, and had a laundry list of health problems. She said he'd lost both legs to diabetes and had multiple strokes before he passed. I didn't feel much about it. No anger, no closure, just nothing. But here's the weird part. Between my 2 work shifts for today, I got curious and decided to look up his death certificate. I don't even know why, maybe just a random thought that stuck. I know what state he lived in, his full name, birth date, where he was born, even his age. However, there's nothing. No obituary, no record, no death certificate. It's like he never existed, or never died. I can find where he used to live, and I know he was in the military for a short while. I even checked to see if they might have anything on him. Strange. Really, I'm giving him more thought now that he's dead than I ever did when he was alive. My 2-year-old daughter knew something we didn't. Some years ago, my wife was caring for an elderly friend's mother during her final days. My wife has worked in care for many years, and as our friend's mother had advanced dementia, was entirely non-verbal and bed-bound, the family needed some professional support to best help care for their mum. As such, it was arranged that my wife would stay at their mum's house from Friday afternoon to the Sunday afternoon, as the family already took care of her around the clock during the week. As the family have known me since childhood, they were more than happy for me to stay there over the weekend as well, and for our daughter, who had just turned 2 at the time, to be there as well with my wife, as my wife took care of their mum, who was bedbound in the lounge downstairs. I knew the house well from my childhood, as it was right across the road from my friend's parents' house. As a family, we had the second double room upstairs, for my daughter and I, and my wife split the night between our upstairs room and a camp bed downstairs next to her patient for her hourly checks, as she had alarms set throughout the night. My daughter would toddle around the house and ask questions about the lady my wife cared for, who my daughter ended up referring to as Nana Flo. My daughter had explored the house thoroughly with my wife and I, but one day we went upstairs to go to our room and she wouldn't cross the landing. She outright refused and began to cry. I picked her up and asked her what was wrong, and she told me she was very scared. I asked her why, and she said she felt frightened and sat upstairs, so we went back down and she seemed happier. At bedtime, I got her to sleep downstairs and carried her asleep up to bed. The following day, we went upstairs after breakfast to get her dressed, and she again wouldn't cross the landing. I asked her what was scaring her, and she pointed to the box room door. I asked her what she was pointing at, and she said the scary door. The door was exactly the same as all the other doors on the landing. Dark brown, no detail other than the wood grain and a right-angled brass handle. I told her that there was nothing scary about the door and opened it to show her inside the room. It was a small room used for storing things Flo hadn't used in the years since she was bedbound. A chair, some board games, a couple of piles of her clothes, and a wooden rocking chair that used to be in the garden. I motioned for my daughter to join me in the room to show her that it wasn't scary, but she refused to enter and kept well back. I was beginning to wonder at this point, as she was always a very sunny, smiley little girl. So I asked her why she didn't like the door or the room. She said one word: died. I left the room, shut the door and got her dressed. 2 weeks go by and she still won't go near the door, but I either hurry her past whilst talking animatedly to her or carrying her. Just to clarify, I wasn't scared myself, unnerved definitely. But my daughter clearly was, and as I didn't want her to be, we just tried our best to deal with those moments quickly. During one night, Flo slipped away in her sleep with my wife and her daughter next to her holding her hand. We obviously didn't tell our daughter, as it would be a lot to process for a 2-year-old. I kept her upstairs, got her dressed and packed our day bag as usual, and just got us ready to head downstairs and right out the front door so we didn't have to enter the lounge. As we got to the bottom of the stairs, Flo's adult daughter walked into the hall and saw us. Immediately seeing my daughter, she lit up and said hello to her in her cheeriest voice, considering the circumstances. My daughter suddenly took her hand and said, "Nana, Flo is with the angels now." Her daughter just began crying and smiling quietly. We have no idea how she knew she'd passed. She'd passed maybe 3 hours previous, and my daughter and I had maybe been awake half an hour. What's more, we're not a particularly religious family. My wife and I were both baptized, but we don't really attend church. The first time my daughter attended church was 8 months later at a wedding. So we have no idea where she got the notion of angels from. Shrug #hash. That will honestly stay with me forever. The maddest thing is that when my daughter was born, she didn't cry. She was so calm. She also didn't cry on the ward afterwards with my wife, even though all the other babies were. AO for asking my brother and his wife to move out after I found out they'd been using my bedroom when I wasn't home. I, 27F, bought my first apartment last year. My older brother, 30M, and his wife, 28F, moved in temporarily this March while their house was being renovated. I was fine with it, we're close, and I figured it'd be nice having family around. For months, I noticed small things that didn't add up. My bed sheets would be different, perfume smell on my pillow, even my hairbrush moved. I brushed it off thinking maybe I was being paranoid. Last weekend, I went on a short work trip. When I got back, my bedroom door was slightly open, I always lock it, and the bed looked freshly made but not the way I make it. I checked the laundry and found my sheets washed and folded the same ones that were on my bed before I left. When I confronted my brother, he said, "Oh, we only used your room once because the AC in the guest room stopped working. Chill, it's not a big deal." His wife even added, "We cleaned up after ourselves. What's the issue?" I told them the issue is boundaries. I didn't consent to anyone using my private space. I asked them to move out by the end of the week. Now my family's calling me dramatic for kicking out family over a bed. My mom says I should have just let it go since it's temporary and they didn't break anything. I feel invaded and honestly disgusted that my brother didn't even think to ask. It's not about the sheets, it's about respect. So, AAO for telling them to move out immediately instead of letting it slide. I work for a moving company and had a weird experience at a client's home. I work for a medium-sized moving company in Nashville, TN. It's a cool job. Hard, but satisfying. I haven't had to pay for a gym membership in years. After 6 years, I can say I've seen just about everything. And yes, I've seen that twice. And those things more times than I can count. For most people, moving day is one of the most miserable experiences imaginable. Since it's my job, I'm used to it, and maybe a little crazy for doing one of life's most stressful tasks every day. After a while, all the moves start to blur together. Every living room has the biggest sofa and rug in the house. No one ever cleans under their bed before we take it apart. And as cute as your pet is, please keep it out of the way so I don't trip and break your furniture. Or myself. The jobs I remember the best are the ones where we get big tips. And, of course, the first job where you have no choice but to use the client's bathroom for, well, you know. But there was one job this past summer that I can't stop thinking about. I'm the only guy from that crew still working here. Marcus and Jeremy quit the next day. It was supposed to be a simple one-day load and unload in South Nashville. Whenever I see a South Nashville job, I try to get Marcus and Jeremy on my team. The three of us work like a machine, and South Nashville means expensive houses, expensive furniture, and generous clients. I wanted my A-team. The house sat at the end of a long driveway, tucked off the road. You couldn't see it from Google Street View, so we couldn't scope it out. Usually I recognize at least one house on any street I go down, someone I've moved before. But this driveway? I swear I'd never noticed it. When we pulled up, the owner was already waiting on the porch. Elderly woman, maybe late 70s. Short, grey hair, floral dress that looked like something from the 60s. It was a big white house, old wooden porch with rocking chairs, and inside, all the furniture was very traditional. She was sweet but stern. That's fine with me. I like to do a quick walkthrough, then get to work. Jeremy is more of the client chatter. During our pre-move walkthrough, she mentioned, That armoire was built by my late husband. He surprised me with it while I was out of town. I'm afraid it may be too big and heavy to move. As much as I love it, I understand if you're unable to get it if it's too heavy. Movers have a bit of an ego and we're all a bit crazy. Telling us something is too heavy might as well be daring us to move it. The armoire was a beast. Solid wood, all one piece. Probably 600 pounds. Easy. It sat against the far wall in an office-type room. Now that I think about it, the ceiling in that room was taller than the rest of the house. Marcus and I were the muscle that day. Jeremy handled the dollies and tools. I joked to Marcus, loud enough for the client to hear and ease her nerves. We've moved worse. We knew if we got this, a big tip was coming our way. We strained to lean it forward so Jeremy could slide the dolly underneath, and it made a sound that no mover likes to hear, splintering wood and cracking paint. Well, there goes our tip. We got it off the wall, and a smell hit us. Old, musty, mothball. Behind it, we saw a door. The house was old but well maintained. This door, though, looked ancient, like something out of a different century. Oversized, probably 100 pounds, with paint so cracked it was chipping off. No knob, just a hole where one used to be, probably so the armoire could sit flush against the wall. The white paint was flaking off to reveal dark, almost black wood underneath. The wall surrounding it wasn't even finished, just rough, splintered planks. Without taking my eyes off the door, I asked, did you know there was a door behind here? We turned around to see her reaction, but she wasn't there. Jeremy went to look for her while Marcus and I examined the door. After a few minutes, Jeremy came back. She's gone, he said. Car's not in the driveway either. That wasn't totally weird. Sometimes clients leave to grab lunch or run errands, though they usually tell us first. We figured she'd be back soon. Marcus and I stared at each other. Curiosity got the better of us. He stuck a screwdriver in the hole, twisted, and the latch gave. The door creaked open. The smell grew stronger. What I saw on the other side didn't make sense. It was the same room. The same office we were just in, except everything we had packed into boxes was back in its place. The same furniture, the same rugs. It was like we'd never even started the job. And everything was flipped, mirrored. Marcus went pale. What the fuck? I took a step forward into the room. Then the owner walked in from the mirrored kitchen. Or at least, I thought it was her. She looked the same, but slightly off. Her hair was darker, she walked with a limp, and her smile was too wide, stretched at the corners. Hey, she said brightly, like we were old friends. You ready for lunch? Marcus stammered. We were just talking to you in the other room. We thought you left. She blinked. Other room. I said, yeah, that room behind the armoire. This house, but different. She smiled faintly. Oh, that old thing? You can't move it. The man who built this house built it into the wall. I've always hated it. We looked at each other, uneasy. I turned around to go back through the doorway, but the armoire was back, standing perfectly flush against the wall like it had never been moved. I said, what's going on? She tilted her head. Are you ready for lunch? The air felt wrong, too still, too heavy. The smell hung thick and sour, like rot. Marcus whispered, we need to get out of here. We're just going to grab a few supplies from the truck, I said. We hustled down the hallway toward the front door. But something was off. The hallway seemed longer. The angles of the walls weren't right, subtle curves, slants that made you dizzy. The floor felt uneven, like it was shifting under us. When we reached where the front door should have been, it wasn't there. The hallway just kept going. Jeremy said quietly, guys, the house is mirrored. The door we came in through, it's on the other side. We turned and ran the other way, weaving through the warped halls. The air grew colder. Finally, we burst into a room that mirrored the office, the armoire standing on the opposite wall. We didn't hesitate. We pulled it until it fell over. When it hit the floor, it broke apart like old rotten wood. The door was there again. We pushed through it and walked back into the same house. Dust hung in the air. The windows were cracked, streaked with grime. Wallpaper peeled from the walls. The air was cold. Stale. The furniture, the glassware, the rugs, everything was coated in decades of dust. I called out, "Hello." No answer. Marcus turned to me, pale. "Get to the truck. Let's get the fuck out of here." I opened the front door. The yard was overgrown, the trees thicker, like years had passed. Our truck was still parked in the same spot, shiny and out of place. The house behind it looked like something from another century. We didn't say a word. We got in and drove away. When we hit the main road, our phones lit up with service again. We called our manager. He didn't believe us, until Marcus and Jeremy both quit the next day. He told me to take a week off to rest. Unfortunately, in this industry, when you're inside multiple homes every single day, strange things happen. This wasn't my only weird experience. I'm destined to never see her again. I-24M was in Boston 2 weeks ago for a job interview. I aced the interview and was recommended to apply for a director position. I decided the position wasn't for me. I was feeling pretty good, so I went out to a dive bar near my hotel. I was just sitting there having a few pints watching a baseball game. It was a Friday, so the bar was packed. As I was sitting at the bar, a group of girls came up to the bar next to me. We began to chat and have a good conversation. Then they left. I went back to watching the game, and suddenly on the other side of me, this woman Jane and her friends sit down at the bar. I thought she was really pretty. At one point we made eye contact and had an instant connection. She began to chat with me and we had a great conversation. At one point she pulls out a disposable camera and asks if I wanted to take a picture with her. Later she hands me her phone to enter my number. She says she will send me the picture when it develops. I was a bit crossfaded and didn't double check, but I believe I must have typed a number wrong or something, because I watched what I think was her try and text me and I didn't get anything. I feel so dumb, but I guess it's just one of those times in life you have a moment and it is just that. Who knows? Maybe fate or God will bring us together again. I've never seen or heard of anything like this. Please help. Encounter. I don't know what to make of this experience. It's so outside my frame of reference. I'm really hoping someone here can offer insight to help me process it. This week I, 39 years old, spent 3 nights in a cabin at a state park. My spouse, 37 years old, and kid, 5 years old, were with me. Everything seemed really chill. The cabin was nice and clean with heating. I didn't get a sense that anything was off until the second night. I was sleeping in the main bedroom with my kid. We strung up some battery-powered fairy lights as a nightlight. Despite a full day of hiking, I had trouble sleeping. I kept waking up for no apparent reason. Finally, I woke up and realized that the light's battery had died. In the middle of the woods with no light, the room was pitch black, except that it was full of glowing white forms. The only way I can describe them is this. They were like oversized swaths of lace floating around the room. They looked two-dimensional and geometric with intricate lines and curves. They floated around the room like they were curious about everything in it. I wasn't scared exactly. I think I was too stunned. I thought at first that I was dreaming, but my kid sighed and shifted in her sleep. I knew that I was awake. My instinct told me that they didn't realize I was awake though. I didn't want to yell and draw attention. But when one hovered between me and my kid, I felt like I had to do something. I reached for the backup light on the chair next to the bed. As soon as I switched it on, they disappeared. The next morning, the backup light was on, so I know that I didn't dream it. But I really don't understand what these forms were. There were so many of them flying around. And I have never seen anything shaped like that. Has anyone ever heard of anything like that before? I can't find anything online. Allegedly, the next cabin over is haunted, but people don't describe anything like this. Being frame as a disappointment, son. This is a story that I want to share but never put my though into it for many years. Also, English is not my main language, please forgive me for any spelling or grammar error. I was grown up in travel agency family in Asia with complicated and absent role model. No real father and a mother now have to work for our family business non-stop. We were quite a big agency with few millions profit, and I have to admit I was one Nepo baby, but the real kicker to that claim comes from one of my family most trusted employee named Natasha, fake name. She was a very friendly, real conversation starter and always the one handling VIP clients and doing secretary job for our business. She was living with her old mother in the housing we provide for employees who need place to stay with cheap rent. We always treat everyone like a cousin, and from time to time I would talk to Natasha's mother like my own grandma and doing some computer fixing stuff as I was into PC building. That was also the time when I changed my school to be more local, closer to home. After I start my high school I have more time to stay home more. It was during internet was a new thing and I just spend more time with my 56k modem. And that's when my family start to complain about my behavior. They start to point out my addiction to PC gaming, porn, or how I wasted dinner to order takeout with my parents' money, how I bring bad friends to home, and how I badmouth family members behind their backs. As a teenage with a lot of unchecked dysfunctional family history, all that claim does have weight on it. I am always try to never cause my family trouble and be in my best behavior, but all those little blame and finger pointing makes me stay with my friends more and more, that caused my grade to fall and solidified me as a failure of a son. During that time Natasha's mother passed away in her bed, died from old age. Me and my mother helped clean her body and push out her body fluids for the medical team to take the body. I saw 2 books on bookshelf that was contrast with novel and magazine, because that 2 book was How to Persuade Minds and The Way to Manipulate People Physiology. That was the first red flag that will be explained later. Quite a few years later the travel agency was not doing good with political turmoil and civil unrest. Our business are in the red. We have to move to new home, or rather new building, for our new office. It's a long unnecessary, so I skip to the important part. I was in collage. After many backlash and help from friends I pull my grade, keep helping family with anything I can, but with a lot of pressure and scrutiny from my family. I just doing what they told, until one day Natasha asked my family some money for her vacation to Japan, never know how much, and left. Few days later our family starts to get a call from all over town from business partners, hotel chains, and some long-time employees that our Natasha have borrowed money from all of them in my family name. And the first question from my family to me was that past event was your doing? I was a little confused, but I asked the details. They said, Natasha was told us that you did this and that. Did you really do it? Still confused, I asked for context, and turns out Natasha told one of my relatives that I stole cousin's expensive wristwatch, Rolex. But they just forget where they put it. Now I'm even more confused as I ask what did Natasha did, and turns out she made up or exaggerating my behaviors in the past to make me irresponsible, arrogant problem child, so my family just dogpile me as the root of all problems, while she just steal money, play politics in workplace, and play all of my family member like a fiddle for almost 10 years while put a target on me. Whenever I help her choirs or fix something, she would said I would act all annoyance and complain about my family to her in bad light. When I have friends over for a group project, she would tell my family that I throwing a party in my house and she had to clean up the mess after me. She just lie that I stole the watch, consider I have never wearing a watch, and just say I must have sold it for money. 10 years of stupidest family quarrels and blame because one woman, out of spite or just favor, until now 20 years after I still no idea what kind of plan that woman has. But later after that I talk to my family and learn that so much of me that they think they known was from a backstabbing who we call close friend of our family. We report to the police and track her down, and found her rent a time in slum with all the money she borrow in our name. I never known what happened or what they talk, but I just laughs. It was so stupid how decade of family bullshit was finally over, and after long conversations I am just a normal child they can always ask for help. But to be fair, after all that I still feeling down whenever I think back how much I hate my family and how my family disdain me. I just need this old story out. Just for my own peace.